The New York Giants improved to 6-1. Who would have thought? And this was a crazy game, this Giants Jaguars game, where it was back and forth. Another fourth quarter comeback win for the Giants. A game that should have ended a lot sooner than it did, and that was extremely frustrating. This could have been a really bad loss by the end of it, but the Giants find a way to win, beat a Jaguar team that is now 2-5, but it is an improved, it is an improved version of the Jaguars. Their final record probably won't be great. It's still a little bit confusing why the Jaguars were a 3-point favorite, especially when you consider the fact that there are tons, and I knew this, tons of Giant fans that would be in Jacksonville. But a pretty even, but all in all, when you look at the stats, a pretty even game. Same amount of first downs, third down conversions were basically identical. Total yards were extremely close. The key really being that Giants rushing attack is something special, especially as the game goes along, where it gets better and better and better. Where, early on, Saquon doesn't do a whole lot, but then eventually he gets going. And then even Daniel Jones on the ground. Daniel Jones in the first half passing-wise, I thought was excellent and was let down by a lot of drops. Then Jones, I felt, struggled a little bit, in the third quarter, but really got involved with his legs, and that's a big part of Jones's game, and that was huge, in the winning drive. He doesn't have a whole lot to throw to. I thought Wan'Dale Robinson made a really nice impact, early on. Injuries are also a part of the story, and I think that the Giants probably escape okay in terms of what it initially sounds like. So Evan Neal and Ben Bredeson, it sounds like they have MCL injuries, so they're going to be out for a bit. But if that's all it is, we'll see them again in all likelihood. But you never want to, who knows? We could find out tomorrow that it's worse. But as of now, reports are is that it's an MCL injury, which kind of makes sense with the way it looked. It didn't look ACL-like on either end. But you knew it was something. And it sucks about Evan Neal. I thought that Tyree Phillips, acquitted himself fine. Came in there and did the job. We'll see. It just sucks, Evan Neal's a young player, but the young guys got hurt. A rookie, and we've seen a lot of rookie injuries already. Players who are out for the season, players who are currently out, players who have returned. Well, Daniel Bellinger got poked in the eye. Pretty ugly scene and had a lot of blood. Doesn't look too good. I'm not really sure what the prognosis is there. I think that he'll be okay in terms of like any sort of season-ending type of injury, but definitely could have been pretty bad. He did leave the game. I'm a little unsure on that one. Eye injuries can be serious, but my instinct tells me that he'll be okay. Could he miss some time? Maybe. And remember, the Giants play the Seahawks next week, and then there's a bye. So if there's any situations where they're kind of on the fence, I think you might see some players sit just to get a couple of weeks of rest. But Giants defense did not play all that well. Was not impressed with the Giant defense, but it did what it had to when it counted, and give them credit for that. The Jaguars only had 17 points, and the Jaguars did not. No, they did. Sorry, they did. They got opening drive touchdown in the second half, but after that, Giants defense did what it had to. It really did. And the Jaguars took a ton of penalties along the way. Giants did late. Some of those were questionable, but a fun win for the New York Giants, and a win that wasn't easy. Like I said, you're going to find games on this schedule that are a hell of a lot easier in future weeks. Not next week with Seattle. We'll talk about that. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about coming out of the bye. There will be easier games than at Jacksonville. There should be, right? You never know what can happen any given Sunday, but while it was confusing, the Jaguars were still a 3-point favorite, right? And this game could have really went either way, but the Giants have had this winning trait that Jacksonville has not. Definitely has not. The Giants have won close games. Jaguars have not won close games. Trevor Lawrence, to me, wasn't, you could see that there's ability there. You could see Trevor Lawrence is going to be a good quarterback in this league, but yet still has a lot to work on. I thought Travis Etienne was explosive. He was really, really good. And Christian Kirk's a nice addition by Jacksonville. It's a better team than we've seen, but didn't love the defense. Thought that they could have been better. And like I said, even with that being said, only gave up 17 points. So let's get into the game. Great opening drive for the New York Giants. And yeah, that's something that we haven't seen this year. It's been slow starts. You don't normally see first drive of the game, Giants just efficient and good. And Wan'Dale Robinson was definitely a major part of that opening drive, 100%. But it ends up in a 32-yard touchdown catch for Darius Slayton. So Jones to Slayton, in terms of Wan'Dale is kind of that best sort of slot type guy, explosive, can make moves, and Slayton on the outside. I mean, Slayton, even with a fully healthy Giant team, I think Darius Slayton's going to outproduce Kenny Golladay. And so Slayton does a pretty nice job. There was a drop in the mix, but, Slayton with a nice 32-yard catch. Wasn't an easy play. But then the Giants defense, they let me down. And it's that response thing. You see it with the other teams too. The Giants are good at the response. Well, the Jaguars do it as well. That's how it goes sometimes. And the Jaguars moved down the field very, very quickly. Evan Ingram, I got to say, the former Giant Evan Ingram looked pretty good today. 4 catches for 67 yards. It was no drops. So Ingram, against his former team, does a nice job today. And the Jaguars are able, really, Christian Kirk. There was a Zay Jones end-around play. There was Dan Arnold for 24 yards. And on first and goal at the 7, Travis Etienne, 7-yard touchdown. Then the Giants take I think there was an illegal formation penalty on the Giants on the extra point. So the Jaguars decide, all right, we're going to go for 2 from the 1. And Etienne is successful. And so it makes it 8-7 Jaguars. So, slip up there where in this day and age, you don't want to take those penalties on those extra points. Then the Giants don't score. There is, a first down conversion, Wan'Dale Robinson. And there was a play here, I think it was Marcus Johnson. We're going to talk. Marcus Johnson, that's not who you want to go to. Marcus Johnson, who, when he first came on for the Giants, because they were so thin, he was doing some good things, and clearly they trust him to an extent. Marcus Johnson, when things get a little bit better health-wise, he cannot be involved. So Johnson, there's a drop, I believe, on first and 20. Nice pass to Johnson, he drops it. And this is the play where Bredesen got hurt and leaves the game. And eventually this leads to a punt. Richie James on 3rd and 14. A little bit tougher than Johnson, but James also with the drop. Then the Jaguars continue to do well offensively. Ingram with a 28-yard reception. And that sets up the Jaguars and, puts it in the Giant territory. This drive moves into the second quarter. There was a 4th down conversion on a 4th and 1, easy 2-yard catch for Zay Jones. JaMycal Hasty with a direct snap first down. But eventually the Giants do hold the Jaguars to a field goal, 27-yard field goal for Jacksonville, and the Giants respond with a field goal of their own. In thinking about it, and I should have brought this up sooner, Brian Daboll, love the guy, but I thought today a little bit too conservative at times, whether it be settling for field goals or punts. It ends up working out, and so maybe it was all along it was the right thing to do. You have to kind of give him, I guess, some credit for that. But yeah, I felt like there was instances where the Giants should have scored more points, should have taken some more chances, but they ended up getting the win. Saquon Barkley on a 5-yard run. This is where Evan Neal gets hurt. So again, these injuries happen pretty early in the game, early in the second quarter. Then Wan'Dale Robinson, a 17-yard reception. Matt Breida. I felt like Matt Breida has been a pretty good backup. He's speedy, good in the receiving game. He works well, definitely. And Breida with a 14-yard catch. Then you get Daniel Jones getting involved. And Jones' ankle looks a lot better than it had, which is great. Daniel Jones is looking a lot more healthy. Then you get some penalties, offensive pass interference penalty on Marcus Johnson, sets him back. There's a 9-yard scramble by Jones, then Jones to Wan'Dale Robinson for 11 yards. 4th and 2 at the 15. This is where I thought, maybe you go for it. They settle for 3. Gano 33-yard field goal is good. Then the Giants catch a really big break as the Jaguars are continuing to move the ball down the field with ease. The pass rush was really not there today until later on. But luckily, Travis Etienne makes a big mistake. He fumbles. Xavier McKinney, he was about to maybe walk into the end zone. It was, or if not, they were set up. It was a 2nd and 10 at the 17. He runs 12 yards. He gets the first down. And McKinney fumbles, and Julian Love recovers it in the end zone. Touchback, Giants ball. That was big. We go to the last possession of the half of the Giants. Pretty good drive. Saquon Barkley with a 10-yard catch. David Sills gets in the mix. 19-yard reception. And then Daniel Bellinger, 13-yard catch. This is where he gets his, unfortunately, his eye poked. And pretty ugly scene for Daniel Bellinger. Leaves the game. Giants get a first down there. And there's about a minute left. And Chris Myrick steps in. 11-yard catch for Myrick. There is, on a 2nd and 10, a 6-yard catch for Breida. Timeout Jaguars. Incomplete Jones. Can't remember what the play was there on the 3rd and 4. And the Giants get a 33-yard field goal to make it 13-11 with 28 seconds left. The Jaguars threaten. They do. But luckily, the Giants are able to, stop it there. There was a chance. But they go for Hail Mary, unsuccessful. Giants have the lead going in the second half, 13-11. Second half begins, Etienne with a major run, 49-yard run for Etienne. Jaguars, after a questionable roughing the passer call on Dexter Lawrence, have 1st and 10 at the 11, and eventually you get a 1st and goal at the 1. QB sneak Trevor Lawrence gives the Jaguars a 17-13 lead. The extra point is blocked after a false start. So that keeps it at 17-13. Giants get the ball and are moving it down. Slayton, 14-yard catch. Myrick, 10-yard catch. You get Daniel Jones with an 11-yard run. And there's a roughing the there is the one really bad play by Daniel Jones. He gets lucky. There's a roughing the passer penalty where he's intercepted. It was a pretty bad pass by Jones, but roughing the passer. So the Giants have an opportunity. What hurt them today was 2nd and shorts that really turned into nothing. 2nd and 2, and Barkley up the middle for nothing. Then 3rd and 2, Jones incomplete to Marcus Johnson. And then a 4th and 2, they try to go to Johnson again, and he drops it. And Jones is pretty upset at Johnson. You don't normally see him do that. I don't mind it. I think Jones might have apologized after the game, but I like to see that fire out of Jones. Johnson should have made the catch. It would have been a first down. I don't think it would have been a touchdown, but it would have been a first down. Instead, Giants turn the ball over on downs, but they do a good job defensively, and this is kind of where the defense starts to pick it up. There's a 3 and out, but it's a pretty good punt. So the Giants get the ball back, still down 4, 3rd quarter, and unfortunately, they stall out at around midfield. There was a 3rd and 4 where Jones passes it to Tanner Hudson. He was calling for the ball. Nothing was going to come of it. I wish that Jones hadn't done that. And originally it was ruled a 2-yard catch. But upon further review, it's reversed. And so it's incomplete, 4th and 4 at the 46 of Jacksonville. And they punt. I was surprised there. I thought they would go for it even with the incomplete pass. But they do punt. And then Jacksonville, is looking to maybe, put the Giants out. It did get close. The Giants still would have had plenty of time left. But we go into the 4th quarter. And there's, a big first down conversion, a couple of big first down conversions by the Jaguars on this drive, Evan Ingram being one of them, getting it to the Giant 19. You have a 3rd and 1. Really nice job by Quincy Roche stuffing Travis Etienne. So now it's 4th and 1, and Lawrence goes for the QB sneak, unsuccessful. Jalen Smith gets in there. Landon Collins, I should also say, and Landon Collins made a couple of nice plays. Wasn't on the field a whole lot. But a good amount, honestly. And he was in some pretty key moments. So Landon Collins, makes his Giant return and does an okay job. Big stop by the Giants right there. Really, really big. And from there, the Giants get going. So the ball is at the Giant 21. So, not easy. 11 minutes left in the game, more than that. Giants are down by 4. And that's when, Saquon and Jones really get it going on the ground. There's a 24-yard run by Daniel Jones that gets it to the Jacksonville 40. A nice third down conversion by Barkley on 3rd and 2 at the Jaguar 32. Then Saquon with a very impressive 18-yard rush to the Jaguar 11. Then a defensive pass interference penalty where Slayton was kind of jockeying for position, jumps up. They call that, so 1st and goal at the 1. And you get a Daniel Jones QB sneak touchdown, gives the Giants a 20-17 lead. And then good job by the defense. I thought for sure they'd move the ball down the field. They don't. There's a false start, an incomplete pass, a 10-yard catch, and then an incomplete to Evan Ingram. So the Giants get the ball back. This is where things get very frustrating. Very, very frustrating for me, as the Giants do get the ball back at their own 23 with a chance to ice it. Keep in mind, the Jaguars only have 1 timeout left with 4:30 left in the game. And the Giants, in terms of execution, do a great job. They run the ball down the Jaguars' throats. But Saquon Barkley, who is a smart football player. We saw it last week where it wasn't, the Giants probably win the game anyway. It wasn't like the craziest savvy move of all time, but it was smart. Where Saquon went down against the Ravens before scoring a touchdown to ensure the victory. Just take knees, no onside kick possibilities or anything like that. So we know he has it in him, but it gets progressively worse, kind of. So Saquon, first down play, 13 yards, goes out of bounds. This one annoyed me, because I felt like he could have stayed in bounds, but he goes out. And that one is is the most forgivable. Okay, fine. Happens once. The play was already towards out of bounds, so I get it. Then you have a 2nd and 3 where Saquon goes for 25 yards and he's pushed out of bounds. And this one made no sense. I mean, Saquon specifically went to the outside. Just stay in. You got the first with a good game. Just completely ridiculous so it keeps on getting worse. So that's frustrating. So right there, that's 80 seconds just given to the Jaguars. 80 seconds. Then we hit the 2-minute warning after Daniel Jones does the right thing. It's a 15-yard run for Jones, and Jones goes down inbounds. So it's 2-minute warning. Jaguars with 1 timeout left. Ball's at the 20 of Jacksonville. 1-yard run for Saquon. Jags burn their last time out. -1 yard gain for Saquon. Clock is ticking. 3rd and 10 at the Jacksonville 20 with 1:11 left. Barkley on a 4-yard run goes out of bounds. Now, he tried to stay in bounds, but it should have never even gotten to that point. Like, what are you even doing going over there? And upon further review, they rule Saquon out. It was a close call. I guess it could have went either way, but don't even put yourself in that position. Insane. Totally insane. This should have been a 6-point game with 20 seconds left. Instead, Gano, it was close. I mean, I think it was deflected. The field goal is good. 34-yard field goal, and the Jaguars have the ball, no timeouts left with about a minute left. There should have been 20 seconds left. This should have been easy. Instead, it got really, really interesting. So let's first start it out where the Giants defense looked pretty good, even throughout all of this. And there were some ticky-tack calls against the Giants. Some of them were fair, some of them not so much. And on a 3rd and 10, annoyingly, you get a first down conversion, Christian Kirk out of bounds. So now there's 50 seconds left. Lawrence is sacked by Dexter Lawrence, but they called defensive holding on Adoree Jackson. So now it's 1st and 10 at the 40 with about 40 seconds left. Then Lawrence is intercepted by Fabian Moreau, but they call illegal use of hands on Dane Belton. I'm not really sure what they saw there. I didn't see it. I did not see that. So there you go. It is a penalty on Belton. Game would have been over. On the Moreau interception, the game continues. Incomplete pass, Trevor Lawrence. Then you get a false start on Cam Robinson. Another incomplete pass by Trevor Lawrence. And then you have a trickery play, which almost works out really well, where Christian Kirk throws it across the field to Etienne. He can't catch it. If he catches it, I think he has some room to maybe go a pretty far distance, but nothing happens. So you have 22 seconds left, 4th and 15 at the Jaguar 40. So you're feeling pretty good about this. However, you have a 28-yard pass completion to Marvin Jones. I'm not sure who the defender was on that, where I'm not sure if they lost the ball in the sun. It was weird. But the play would have extended anyway because they called roughing the passer on Dexter Lawrence, which to me, questionable call, and Thibodeau was clearly held. So Thibodeau, who was quiet at points, and he's really ramped it up at the end of games, like that was a sequence which was a disaster. You get the catch, the roughing the passer, and the clock stops, and they didn't call the holding penalty. So now, 1st and 10 at the 17 with 12 seconds left. Incomplete to Zay Jones. Then 2nd and 10, incomplete to Marvin Jones. And so this ends up being the last play here. We don't know it at the time going in, but it ends up being 3rd and 10, no timeouts left. The ball was snapped with, I believe, 7 seconds left. Christian Kirk makes the catch at the 1, but is held out of the end zone with a combination of Julian Love, Fabian Moreau, and Xavier McKinney. Moreau was kind of the one that was there. Love made an initial impact. Then he still tried going, and then McKinney, took him down. Landon Collins eventually got in there, but, it was pretty much decided at that point. And so, wow, like they were the Giants were a yard away from losing this football game. You assume that the Jaguars make the extra point, you lose the game. So that would have been an absolute heartbreaker. With Saquon Barkley just not getting out of bounds, just drove me insane. For a veteran, smart football player, that really, really, really was bad. I haven't caught so much of the post game, but that was a bit unacceptable. But the Giants still win. They're 6-1. This NFC East continues to win. Now the Eagles had a bye this week, but the Cowboys beat the Lions, so they're 5-2, and even Washington, they beat Green Bay, so they're 3-4. This NFC East division is really, really good. It is the best division in the NFC, definitely. If I had to further dissect the AFC, that might involve further thought. But just keeping it for the NFC, it's the best division it is the best division in the conference, no question about it. So let's look to next week. Next week, week 8. Giants have a bye in week 9. So, the Giants get that bye right in the middle of the season. And it'll be at the Seattle Seahawks, who are a 4-3 football team. Geno Smith's playing really well. This is going to be a tough game. Winnable game for the Giants. But it's, it would be amazing to win it. To go 7-1 into the bye would be just amazing. But it will not be easy. Going to Seattle, that's a tough trip in general. Seattle's a tough place to play. The Seahawks fan base, they got to be excited. I mean, they made it. It was a highway robbery. The Russell Wilson trade looks amazing for Seattle, and so this will be a nice test as the Giants, head into the bye, and the Giants will be shorthanded. Evan Neal will be out. That I can assure you. Ben Bredesen will be out. I don't know about Daniel Bellinger, but. The Giants have some injuries, but that's how it goes. Look, DK Metcalf left the game for Seattle, so they're dealing with the injuries themselves. So excited for this one. This is an unexpected, really good NFC clash between two teams that have aspirations for the playoffs. Really, who would have thought that? But hey, the Seattle Seahawks, as we speak, are in first place in the NFC West. So this should be a pretty fun game. Giants at Seahawks. Giants with a big, wild win in Jacksonville. They are 6-1.